Hi everyone, it's Melissa Bruner in the WIBW Digital News Center. I just wanted to take a few moments here from the Digital News Center before our next on-air update in about 10 minutes to go through some of what we are seeing, some of the trends in our election results tonight. So the first thing, let's compare. You've been watching national coverage from Local News Live when it comes to the presidential race, and I want to show you what has happened with Kansas. So here's how we are looking right now nationally in the race for the White House. You can see former President Donald Trump currently leading in the Electoral College votes, Kamala Harris with 99 Electoral College votes. Take a look at Kansas right in the middle of the country, and we've been watching throughout the evening this coloration of the Kansas map change, and I'm going to show you why this trend is. So I walked out earlier tonight when the advance ballots had come in, those initial ballots, and we actually were shaded light blue, leaning Harris. A few minutes ago, we had gone to white as a toss-up. Now you can see we are leaning Donald Trump. And as we take a closer look at the numbers, here's why. What we saw happen was some of the larger, more populous urban areas in the state reported those numbers early. Those are shaded in the blue. Those are the counties that were having more votes for Kamala Harris. We're going Harris's way. Western Kansas, where things are more spread out. It takes a bit more time for some of those results and so some of those precincts to report. You can see that those numbers are now starting to come in and fill in. That is where Donald Trump has been very strong, and the Republican votes have been very strong in Kansas. We have seen this in congressional races and all those trends throughout the years. Now Donald Trump has pulled ahead in Kansas with more than 50% of the vote to Kamala Harris's 48.2%. Again, we're still not even quite halfway there in getting all of the votes in, but look at the area that's left. The Republican stronghold where Donald Trump has been strongest in Western Kansas. So we may see that margin grow. In the last two presidential elections, Donald Trump has carried the state with 56% of the vote and 57% of the vote. And so that is a trend we're starting to see as the night goes on and those numbers come in, reporting and going that way. So how is it looking for some of the other races we've been monitoring this evening? Well, we have seen Tracy Mann, incumbent Republican in the big 1st Congressional District, with a comfortable lead over Paul Buskirk, his Democratic challenger. Again, only about halfway there, not even halfway there in counting the votes. District 2, this is an open seat. The incumbent, Jake LaTurner, opted not to seek re-election. Nancy Boyda held this seat. She beat 5-term incumbent Republican Jim Ryan back in the 2006 election, but she only held the seat for 1 term before another Republican, Lynn Jenkins, took it back. Derek Schmidt, Republican, a lot of name recognition. He was the Attorney General for Kansas for 12 years. Earlier in the evening, again, those populous areas where Nancy Boyda was very strong, she was holding the lead. Now, as we've seen more of those votes come in from some of the more rural areas of the district, we are seeing Derek Schmidt starting to pull ahead in this race. Shawnee County Commission will touch on real quick. Incumbent Kevin Cook is starting to build a lead over Republican challenger Henry McClure. Aaron Mays easily there in his write-in. Let's check in on Jeff West. No votes from Jefferson County yet. But now I want to go back down through some of these legislative races, because here again is where we are seeing the trends of what is happening. Are we seeing the control of the legislature, basically, is what's been happening. Republicans have held a supermajority. Democrats were hoping to pick up some seats and flip some. This is a race largely in the Jefferson County area. Ron Ellis, a long-term incumbent Republican there. Mary Williams is the Democratic challenger. Only a few votes are in here, but in the early going, we were seeing Ron Ellis trail. We're starting to see, as more votes get reported, this one's only at 15% of the vote in. We are starting to see Ron Ellis build up some vote totals. So I've been watching that one tonight, waiting for more votes to come in, because again, Ron Ellis was trailing early. Looking through some of these districts in the Kansas House that are encompassing Shawnee County, Kyle McNorton, an incumbent Republican, he'd been appointed to that seat. He is seeking a full term and is holding a lead over Democrat Jessica Porter. We had gotten an update on Shawnee County votes here within about the past half hour, so we're starting to see some larger totals come in these. Morgan Steele and Linda Morse in House District 51. Let me check here what the situation was in House District 51. This is where incumbent Republican Kenny Titus had decided to run for a Senate seat. So we'll check how he's doing there. But here's the question. Would this remain a Republican-held seat or flip to Democrat? Right now, the Republican Megan Steele holding the lead in that district. 52, incumbent Republican Jesse Bourgeon with a lead. So Kirk Haskins, incumbent Democrat, holding the lead. So this seat is looking to hold over Republican former city councilman for Topeka, Jeff Cohen. 54, incumbent Republican Ken Corbett keeping the lead in House District 55. More than half of the votes in. Incumbent Democrat Tobias Schlingensiepen is holding the lead. Virgil Weigel, Penny Cluse. Now this one's a little bit interesting because Virgil Weigel, the incumbent Democrat, 75% of the vote in. He has 54% to 45% for Penny Cluse. So it looks like he will keep that seat. Penny Cluse, though, is the wife of incumbent state senator Rick Cluse, and he is in a Senate race. So this was a husband and wife campaigning side by side together. Let's get down to those Senate races, shall we? So this is Rick Cluse in District 3. What we are watching here is where we're talking about, can Republicans pick up seats? Can Democrats pick up seats? So Rick Cluse was an incumbent actually in Senate District 19. There was redistricting that happened. You know, they do that every 10 years. This is the first time the Senate seats are up for re-election. Since then, his address got moved to a different district. So he's in District 3, where incumbent Democrat Tom Holland decided not to seek re-election. So this is a seat up for grabs. Rick Cluse is the Republican currently leading the Democrat Dina Sattler. So you think Democrats are actually going to lose a seat, perhaps, if this margin holds. But look what's happening in Rick Cluse's former district, Senate District 19. It is the Democratic challenger in there, Patrick Schmidt, who the Associated Press has declared the winner. So if Rick Cluse holds in District 3, Patrick Schmidt holds in District 19, it's actually a wash. Those two seats cancel each other out, and we have the same margin. So that's just one of the storylines that we are watching as we take a look at who will be controlling the legislature. Will it be an even split between Republicans and Democrats? Will there be a supermajority for the Republicans? Something we're going to keep watching all night long. And as we've been watching more results come in, let me flip back over real quickly and get another look at how these votes are going in the Congressional District 2 seat. Again, as this has started to show a little bit of a sway now toward Derek Schmidt, as some of the more rural areas in the district where the Republican candidates have traditionally been very strong, as we've seen these paths that have been happening in District 2. Derek Schmidt pulling out a lead now over Nancy Boyda. We are live in Independence, Kansas, where the Derek Schmidt campaign is watching, in Baldwin City, where Nancy Boyda is. You've heard from both of them on the air, so we will hear from them again when we have our late local news update for you. We are just a couple minutes away now from checking in the studio. Our Michaela Kelly has been keeping up with some of the legislative candidates. I believe she is going to be catching up with Patrick Schmidt, again declared the winner in State Senate District 19, and you'll be hearing from him in just a few minutes. If you keep it right here on WIBW.com as well as on air, we have an update coming from the studio as well, and we will be returning you to CBS News national coverage of the presidential race in just a few minutes.